She slapped his rear and called it primitive padding. 3 hours later, she's red-faced, limping, and cursing Earth's weird, binding diplomatic customs she didn't read. So squishy! Like a nesting pod full of pudding. The princess's voice echoed across the crystalline banquet hall, ringing louder than the orchestral vines plucking themselves in the background. Alien nobles snorted in various pitches of amusement. Even Emperor Radek let out a low rumble of a chuckle, which sounded disturbingly close to a growl of digestion. Grant Lorne stood stock-still at the end of the long table, his back straight, his half-eaten beetle tart poised delicately on its silver fork. Princess Zelnari, 7 feet of gleaming lavender skin, golden crests along her temple, an ego the size of a dwarf star, had just slapped Earth's representative across the ass. Hard. The impact had a thwack that could only be described as legally provocative. Gasps mixed with laughter. Grant blinked slowly. The area of contact tingled. His honor, however, smarted. "You dare manhandle a guest under sacred protocol?" he said smoothly, placing his fork down with the ceremonial precision of a man who's been insulted by taller people before. "Under Earth Treaty Clause 114b, Article 6, you just violated sovereign posterior." The hall went silent. Even the music vines stopped strumming. Zelnari snorted, lips curling. "Is that some kind of Earth mating code? Or do you genuinely think I'll be punished for admiring this?" She gave his but a second, approving nod. "Very bound sufficient." One of the nobles choked on a spiced slug. Across the room, Emperor Radek leaned toward his protocol officer. A whispered translation followed. The old reptilian's amber eyes widened. "Oh," he said. "That clause is still active?" The protocol officer gulped. "Apparently, yes. Section 37b, reparative seating deprivation for inappropriate gluteal contact." A long pause. The Emperor's tail twitched. "Well, damn." Grant smoothed his jacket. "I invoke the clause. As a guest of your empire, I demand recompense in accordance with the terms signed in the Accord of Itar 7. Zelnari's jaw dropped. "You can't be serious. That treaty was negotiated with a caffeine-addicted Earth ambassador during a solar flare." Grant gave her a perfectly neutral diplomatic smile. "And yet, binding." Moments later, the guards returned with the artifact, a bright blue Earth donut cushion, hovering in a containment field, untouched since the 23rd century. A council elder raised the cushion high, intoning, "Let her bear the ring of regret. Let her feel the ache of her dishonor." Zelnari shrieked, "I'm a princess!" The Emperor gave a soft belch. "Then you should have kept your royal hands to yourself." 2 hours later, Princess Zelnari stalked through the royal palace, ass cheeks clenched, rings secured firmly by magnetized straps to her ceremonial robes. The cushion squeaked with every step, a high-pitched rubbery protest that matched the indignity in her heart. Behind her floated a drone, programmed posture enforcer number 9. If she so much as leaned toward a surface, it beeped a warning. "Reminder, seated posture is prohibited. Violators will face shameful drone announcements." She groaned. "I'm the heir to a 1,000-star empire," she muttered. "And I can't even perch." The attendants avoided eye contact, barely hiding their smirks. One dared to offer a standing foot massage. She snarled at him. Back in her private chamber, she paced like a caged animal. Her inner thighs burned. Her dignity ached. And worst of all, the human was smirking the whole damn time. That night, she couldn't sleep. She had tried every position short of levitation. Her sleep pod mocked her, low, inviting, sinfully plush. She screamed and hurled a pillow at it. Then she activated the secret viewing panel. The feed flickered on, focused on the guest quarters. Earth Ambassador Grant Lorne reclined shirtless on a floating chaise, reading a data pad, sipping green tea. He looked soft, yes, but in a dense, solid way. Like a creature made for slow, confident destruction. His hair was messy. His shoulders were wider than expected. His mouth curled slightly at the corners. Zelnari blinked. Why was she watching this again? She leaned in. Grant was speaking to one of the Zeltrani servant women, the cute one with the silver antennae. They were laughing. "Back home," he said, "we usually ask permission before slapping someone's backside. Unless it's Saturday. Or part of the deal." The servant blushed. Zelnari's brow furrowed. Was that flirting? "Humans," she hissed. So squishy, yet so smug. And yet something in her chest gave a thump. Not quite jealousy. Not quite arousal. Something dangerously close to curiosity. Maybe even admiration. Disgusting. The next morning, the court was buzzing. Apparently, a meme was circulating through the galactic net, a picture of Zelnari standing awkwardly beside Grant, cushion firmly strapped, captioned, "When you grab a human cheek and get clapped by the law." The humans were laughing. The aliens were laughing. Her father was laughing while reading the comments aloud. And Grant? Grant just smiled and bowed politely to everyone, handing out Earth chocolates like a war hero turned diplomat turned smug bastard. She watched him from across the room, arms folded, cushion squelching against her thighs. He caught her eye, winked, and mouthed something. She couldn't hear it, but she swore it was. "You started it." Her face went purple. She vowed then and there, this was not over. He might have outwitted her through old legal tricks and dumb treaties, but Zelnari would win him back the way her people always won. Through domination. Through discipline. Through understanding exactly how human seduction works, and beating them at their own game. Princess Zelnari was not used to being the object of ridicule. She was used to being worshipped. Respected. Occasionally feared. But laughed at? That was an entirely new low. And it got lower when the royal breakfast was served standing only, just for her benefit. The table floated at waist height. No chairs. Grant Lorne stood calmly at the end of the buffet, coffee in one hand, the other idly flipping through a holographic document titled, "Galactic Diplomatic Etiquette: How Not to Get Sued by a Human." Zelnari approached, teeth grinding. The cushion squeaked beneath her robes. Grant didn't even look up. "Sleep well, Your Highness?" She stared at him, deadpan. "My sleep pod mocked me. I may have attempted to vaporize it. Twice." Grant sipped his coffee. "Sounds like the pod won that fight." She narrowed her eyes. "Are all humans this smug when you humiliate royalty?" "We usually ask before the spanking part," he replied with a smile. "Or at least leave a safe word." Her cheeks flushed pale violet. "You think this is funny? I think it's educational. You're the first royal to learn what happens when you grab human glutes without clearance." He finally looked up, eyes meeting hers, calm and maddeningly unreadable. And damn it, he wasn't bad looking. For a short, fleshy, pink-skinned mammal, he had structure and presence. He didn't look dominant, but he carried himself like someone who didn't need permission. She folded her arms. The cushion hissed again. "Remove the sentence," she said. He shook his head. "Only if you apologize. Sincerely. Earth style." "And what does that involve?" she asked, a touch too sharply. He leaned closer, voice low. "Kissing the cushion. Maybe dinner. Depends on your sincerity." She blinked. Her left crest twitched. Was he flirting? No. No, he was mocking her. Had to be. But he didn't move away. Her voice came out huskier than intended. "You are extremely irritating. Comes with the species," he said. "We get under skin. Yours is very smooth, by the way." She cleared her throat and fled. Later that day. "I think I want him," Zelnari whispered. Her personal attendants, Lothe and Marais, froze in place. One dropped a jar of synthetic lavender polish. Marais blinked. "Your Highness, we assumed you wanted him. You've been staring at him for 2 days." "Observing," she corrected. "For tactical advantage." Lothe smirked. "Sure. That's why you had us print all 50 pages of human mating customs, a field guide." "It's reconnaissance." They both stared at her. She groaned. "Fine. Maybe, possibly, slightly intrigued. I hate him. Lothe rolled her eyes. That's not hate. That's foreplay. Ask him out. I can't. He still has me under this humiliating punishment. You expect me to flirt while I can't even sit? Marai shrugged. You flirted when you had 3 broken horns and a parasite in your spleen. What's stopping you now? She stared into the mirror. Her reflection was regal. Elegant. And admitted, flustered. What would a human even want from an alien? She muttered. Marais grinned. Maybe the same thing you want. To win. To tease. To see what happens when 2 people with too much ego finally stop pretending they hate each other. Lothe chimed in. Also, your butt looks great in that cushion. She growled. That evening, she stood outside Grant's door in her finest diplomatic robes, dark silver with purple inlays and a subtle shimmer along the hem that accentuated her hips. The cushion was still strapped on, of course. By now it felt like part of her anatomy. She took a breath, straightened her crest, and hit the door chime. Grant opened it wearing nothing but casual pants and an Earth t-shirt that said, "Consent is sexy." Her crest twitched. You came, he said. I never flee a battle. He arched a brow. Are we calling this a battle now? She stepped inside without invitation. I came to challenge you. Intellectually. Grant chuckled. I'm flattered. Most people just yell at me. I propose a contest, she said, pacing the room. A duel of culture. If I win, you lift the punishment. If I lose, I submit to Earth-style apology. He smiled slowly. Interesting. And how do you define Earth-style? I don't. You do. But only if you win. He leaned against the desk. And how will we decide who wins? Verbal combat. Cultural trivia. Wit. Banter. First to crack under pressure, loses. Sounds kinky. She paused. That word again. Kinky. You keep saying it. What does it mean? He grinned. It's when the punishment becomes the reward. She blinked. Her cheeks darkened. He poured her a drink. You're on, princess. 10 minutes later. The verbal duel had begun. Grant. What's the Earth tradition involving chocolate and flowers? Zelnari. Funeral? He laughed. Wrong. That's a date. Hopefully not the same night. Zelnari. What is Zeltrani courtship's first step? Grant. Bleeding on each other's pillows? She smirked. Close. Bloodletting rituals begin at second tier. Grant raised his glass. Ah, yes. Nothing says romance like arterial spray. They kept going, insults disguised as compliments, double meanings, ancient traditions, alien mating calls versus Earth pickup lines. It was ridiculous. It was absurd. It was fun. She found herself laughing. Actually laughing. And he looked genuinely charmed. At one point she said, You still owe me for this cushion. He replied, I can spank you again and make it even. She choked on her drink. That's not how treaties work. Have you read Earth's unofficial Protocol 69? She stared. That's not real. He winked. Only if you want it to be. Before she left. Standing in the doorway, Zelnari turned back. The banter faded. Something hung in the air, unspoken, charged, far more dangerous than insults. Tomorrow, she said, we finish this contest. In court. Before witnesses. Winner takes all? He asked. She looked him over slowly, lips curling. Exactly. And then she left, hips swaying in a way she knew he was watching. As she disappeared into the corridor, the cushion gave one final, triumphant squeak. The fourth rotation since the punishment began, and Princess Zelnari was walking like a space crab with a vendetta. She hadn't sat once, not on a throne, not on a hover couch, not even on her luxury bidet, which sang lullabies and used lavender-scented plasma mist. Her pride hurt worse than her ass, and her ass had started twitching involuntarily whenever a chair entered her line of sight. Worse, the humans were still here. Grant Lorne, the smug Earth diplomat she had once slapped for being plump in the wrong places, had somehow transformed into a minor galactic celebrity. His talks on human emotional fortitude and the power of silent retaliation were standing room only, because she couldn't sit. She limped past the hollow screen. A meme of her face frozen mid-wince under the caption, "But not forgotten," flickered brightly. Her cheeks flushed violet. "So this is how humiliation feels," she muttered. The pain she could handle. Zeltranan women were warriors, after all. They trained by wrestling lavaworms and birthing spiked infants. But Grant wasn't inflicting wounds on her skin. He was doing something far more cruel. He was winning hearts. In the garden of bioluminescent moss, she finally cornered him. Grant was sipping some dark earth liquid that smelled of burned trees and bitterness. "Is it true," she blurted, "that your species finds pain stimulating?" He nearly choked on his coffee. "Pardon? Pain. Suffering. Public disgrace. I've read your BDSM literature." Grant blinked. "That's not diplomacy reading material. I found it on the Galactic Net. Very detailed diagrams." "Of course you did." She stepped closer, the ceremonial cushion still strapped around her hips like a badge of dishonor. Her posture was stiff, half from dignity, half because her glutes were on fire. "Are you enjoying this?" she asked, voice low. "Seeing me suffer?" Grant looked thoughtful. "I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little entertained." She narrowed her eyes. "But not for the reason you think," he added. "Oh? Enlighten me, oh soft-bottomed earth monkey." He set down his cup. "You're learning humility. That's rare in royalty. You also look different when you're not mocking me." "Different how?" "Less claws. More curves." Her pulse skipped. Zeltranan hearts beat twice. Hers just thumped 4 times in a row. "Do Earth men always flirt after exacting cultural revenge?" she asked dryly. He smirked. "Only with those who look good wearing humiliation." She bristled, and shivered. Somehow, being teased by him now felt more disarming than enraging. Was this attraction? Zelnari had once wrestled a Danox male twice her size and broken his ribs with her thighs. But Grant's mere smirk made her knees wobble. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every time she shifted, the friction of the seat cushion rubbed against her thighs in ways she couldn't ignore. Thoughts of Grant's strong jaw, his confident posture, his perfectly infuriating calm, they circled her mind like orbiting moons. She muttered, "He probably has soft fingers. Damn him." By third watch, she gave up trying to rest. Instead, she sneaked into the human quarters, still padded, still technically forbidden to sit, and found Grant in the embassy's private library. He looked up from a datapad. "You stalking me? I need closure." "Sounds like you need therapy." "Grant." He blinked at the first use of his name. "Yes?" She fidgeted, then leaned in closer, whispering in a husky voice. "If I apologize, can I sit again?" He chuckled. "Technically? Yes. Culturally? I'd need proof it's sincere." "What kind of proof?" He held up the datapad, showing her a video feed. A live channel, the apology throne, a glowing seat in the court chamber, now surrounded by a small betting crowd. "You sit there and apologize. Publicly. To you? To the entire species. Can I do it with dignity? You've got a cushion strapped to your ass. I'd say dignity's already checked out." She glared. He grinned. But before she could respond with another insult, their hands touched on the datapad. It was accidental. And yet, something crackled between them. Energy. Or heat. Or possibly static discharge from too many fancy fabrics brushing together. Either way, they both paused. "You're not what I expected," she whispered. "Ditto," he said. "I thought you aliens didn't have emotions." "We don't." "Then what's this?" She didn't answer. But her gaze lingered a second too long on his lips. Suddenly, the datapad buzzed with a notification. Apology throne occupied by none. Crowd, 134K watching. Wagered credits, 2.3 million. She sighed. This is ridiculous. Or, he said, it's the galaxy's weirdest foreplay. She choked on a laugh. Then stared at him. You joke. Dark humor. Humans cope with trauma using it. Like you're doing now. I don't have trauma. You're wearing a butt pillow in public. That's trauma. Another laugh escaped her before she could stop it. Fine, she whispered. I'll sit on your ridiculous throne. And apologize? I said sit. Don't get greedy. As she walked off, hips stiff, pride half melted, Grant watched her go. And for the first time, he realized something dangerous. He didn't want her to sit just to humiliate her. He wanted her to stay, upright, stubborn, fierce, exactly the way she was. Princess Zelnari's quarters reeked of embarrassment and misplaced pride. Despite the ceremonial pillow ring still velcroed to her backside, she paced. She'd refused to remove it, despite the punishment being technically over, because now, it wasn't just humiliation. It was something else. Grant Lorne had flipped the tables. She'd slapped a human ass to mock him, and now her own ass was the most discussed pair of cheeks on Zeltrana Prime. And damn it, she was thinking about his again. She stared into the ornate mirror, fanged, violet-tinted reflection flushed and conflicted. Why does humiliation taste like chocolate? She muttered to herself. Just then, the door buzzed. She yanked it open, voice high and snippy. What? Grant stood there, holding 2 mugs of Synth-CF. Figured after all the sitting you didn't do this week, you deserved a hot drink and a standing conversation. Her expression twitched, anger, amusement, arousal, and awkwardness all flashing across her face like glitchy subtitles. You think this is funny? She huffed, stepping aside so he could enter. Her body instinctively turned, hiding her still-cushioned rear. Grant strolled in, calm as a monk. No, not funny. Hilarious. Especially the way you started walking like a cat with a shoe on one foot. She tossed a pillow at him. You humans are freaks. He caught it. Takes one to tango. Then he smirked, holding up a second item from under his jacket, a matching pillow ring, Earth style. Is that for you? She asked, half appalled, half intrigued. Nah, he said. This is for diplomacy. She eyed him suspiciously. Diplomacy that requires 2 asses to float like royalty? Exactly. Equal grounding. Then, after a long beat, You want to sit with me? She said flatly. Grant plopped the cushion on the floor between them. No. I want to not sit with you. On matching cushions. At eye level. Mutual discomfort. Real understanding. A long silence passed. Then Zelnari cracked, snorting. I hate you. Mutual discomfort, remember? He grinned. They sat, wincing, groaning, leveling in pain and posture. And for the first time, she saw him, not just the human ambassador, not just the cheeky monkey, him. You know, she said, voice softer. I wasn't trying to insult you. On my planet, slapping someone's bottom is like flicking their antenna. Teasing. I know, Grant replied. And on my planet you'd get slapped back, or taken to dinner. Oh? She purred. So that's the custom? He leaned in. Sometimes both. Depends on the slap. She smirked, eyes narrowing. Well, how hard did you feel it? Grant tilted his head. Hard enough I needed an intergalactic treaty to protect my pride, and a second meeting. A pause. Then suddenly, Zelnari pulled her ceremonial sash off, tossing it aside. Grant blinked. What's that? Symbol of royal status, she said. But you've seen my real status this week. Which is? A woman who might want to kiss a weird little Earth man who taught her how to fall on her ass and get up laughing. He blinked, surprised. Wow. That was direct. Do all your women play games? He chuckled. No. But most don't flirt with alien nobles by public ass assault either. She rolled her eyes. Just kiss me before I slap you again, and we end up in another cultural crisis. He leaned forward. Your Highness, I am ready to risk every pillow in the galaxy. Their lips met, soft, curious, then bold. It was awkward and spiced with ozone and heat. Her claws tugged his jacket. His fingers slipped over the top of her hips. Then, BZZT. The room's alert system lit up. A floating hologram appeared. Your punishment period has officially ended. Please return the ceremonial cushion. Zelnari stared at it, then at Grant. I'm not returning anything, she murmured. He whispered back. Neither am I. Red triangle pointed down. Cut to, weeks later, Intergalactic Summit. Grant stood beside Zelnari on the podium. She now served as co-ambassador to Earth-Zeltrana relations. Behind them, the Earth flag and the glowing purple crest of her world shimmered in harmony. But the cameras weren't on the speech. They were focused on the matching cushions under both their chairs, now lined with golden embroidery and unofficially named seats of mutual respect. A reporter asked. Ambassador Grant, Princess Zelnari, will this tradition continue? Grant grinned. If you disrespect a human again, you'd better be ready to fall in love. Zelnari smirked, arm around him. And if you smack a Zeltranan rear, make sure you mean it. Cue laughter. Cue applause. Cue interstellar memes.